At one point, in the mid to late 2010s, Yachty was the poster boy for mumble rap and was arguably the most hated rapper on the internet. This even caused him to conform his music to the trendy generic trap sound for a good while. But Yachty has developed so much in the last couple of years and stopped caring what people think of him. He has been dropping heat from having influence on Drake's album to an awesome alternative album of his own to great rap singles, and he's starting to become much more respected in rap discussions and on social media. For a long time, Lil Yachty worked more as a concept than a traditional rapper. Back then, rappers split in two directions. On one side, you had the loud, chaotic SoundCloud wave with artists like Lil Pump.
My bitch love do cocaine, ooh.
Lil Pump. On the other, you had the super serious dominance of guys like Drake and Future, who would eventually work with Yachty themselves. That gap created space for someone different, someone fun, lighthearted, and charismatic. A personality-first artist, kind of like how rap used to have room for characters like Biz Markie or Kool Keith, artists who thrived by owning their own lane.
I ain't mad at him, baby. If I seen you out, me too, be going you crazy. Diamond and
That's where Yachty came in. A lot of people were introduced to him not through a deep lyrical record, no, but through a comedy skit soundtracked by One Night. The song blew up because of how effortless and almost sleepy it sounded. Didn't try too hard, and that was the appeal. To casual fans, Yachty became known for a couple massive moments in 2016, Broccoli with DRAM, which basically defined that era, and I Spy with Kyle, a pop rap hit that was everywhere. Yachty wasn't just selling songs, he was selling a character. The colorful braids, the big smile, the carefree energy. And while the music was fun and catchy, a lot of people couldn't help but wonder if there was more underneath it all. Was this just a moment? Or the start of something that could actually last? But focusing only on Yachty as a personality kind of undersells the music he'd already put in. His early projects like Lil Boat and Summer Songs 2 were ahead of their time, blending rap habits with pop melodies in a way that would eventually become normal. Even back then, Yachty understood that selling the feeling of a song mattered just as much as a technical skill. He leaned into catchy hooks, loose delivery, and vibe-first records that stuck with people. Where things got shaky was his constant need to prove he could really rap. Those moments are where a lot of his early music fell apart. Not because he lacked talent, but because he was still figuring out who he was as an artist. Those missteps weren't failures though, they were growing pains. Over time, what people saw as weaknesses slowly turned into strengths. So while artists like Lil Uzi and Playboi Carti reinvented themselves sonically, Yachty stayed planted. He became Quality Control's wild card, the weird one who didn't quite fit the mold but always showed up. His guest verses got sharper, his presence more confident, and by that time, Lil Boat 3 dropped in 2020, he'd quietly evolved from a punchline rapper into a respected veteran. That album felt like the end of a chapter, and it ended up being his last official release for a while. That's why the song Poland in late 2022 felt so unexpected. It wasn't just some calculated comeback. It sounded like instinct. The vocals were exaggerated, the beat felt grimy and off-kilter, the hook was ridiculous, and the song barely crossed 2 minutes, and somehow it just worked perfectly. It felt like early Yachty again, raw, fun, and impossible to ignore. At that point, Yachty had already relived multiple careers in under a decade. Teenage rap hero, rising star, brand mascot, cultural ambassador, but chasing another viral moment after Poland would have been the wrong move. Lightning like that doesn't strike twice unless you're someone like Lil Nas X who treats marketing like a science. So the real question wasn't whether Yachty could repeat the moment, it was how. How was he going to follow it up without cheapening it? Let's start here is Lil Yachty's full reset. It's a straight up reinvention. No rapping, no half measures, just a clear statement that he wants to be taken seriously as an artist. It's labeled psychedelic rock, but it's not some inaccessible left field experiment. The sound is warm, melodic, and familiar. Think the sunny glow of a Tame Impala record mixed with bouncy rhythms and hazy guitars that feel closer to artists like Magdalena Bay or Mac DeMarco, who both actually appear on this album. So it's not trying to challenge you, but it is satisfying in a way that Lil Yachty had never really attempted before. So that makes it even more interesting when you compare it to older projects like Michigan boy boat. So on that project, Yachty felt more like a host than the main attraction, spotlighting more of the Michigan rappers on that project. So it was a great curation, but it didn't feel like a deeply personal artistic statement. But with Let's Start Here, it'd be easy to assume this is just another costume, Yachty playing a new role. But what actually holds the album together is him, Little Yachty himself. Even if this isn't normally the type of music you'd seek out, Yachty's presence pulls you through the experience. So what really sells the album is the time behind it. Yachty had been recording this project since 2021, and you can feel the patience. He didn't try to capitalize on Poland with quick, viral follow-ups, but he also didn't rush this album out just to prove a point. The opener, The Black Seminole, immediately throws you into the deep end, bouncing between Pink Floyd-style atmosphere and Hendrix-inspired guitar work, so it's ambitious, even if at times you're left wondering where Yachty himself fits into all of it. Lil Yachty stepped into the spotlight at just 18 years old, and he's basically grown up in front of everyone, so it makes sense that at 28, after years of criticism and constant second guessing, he'd want to lock in his legacy as a real artist, especially after spending so much time quietly influencing the next wave of younger rappers, even when he didn't always get credit for it. Let's Start Here might not be the genre-defining psychedelic masterpiece he was aiming for, but it does capture where music is right now, a space where vibes matter more than the labels. A lot of people who grew up on Yachty were also listening to Tame Impala at the same time, so it actually makes sense that he tried to blend those two worlds. It doesn't feel fake or forced, it feels like a genuine attempt to expand his reach without abandoning who he truly is. There's nothing cynical about this album, but it is strategic in the same way Yachty's always moved. He understands how culture works now. Genres are blurry, attention spans are short, and streaming tags don't really mean what they used to, and instead of fighting that reality, he leaned into it. For better or worse, that awareness and his willingness to act on it is exactly why the narrative around Little Yachty has changed.